seriously. They're incredibly dense people. And their focus is just drama, right? Like their focus is like advancing a cause. It's more so just like them telling on themselves. Hasan has 5 minutes to interview Bernie Sanders and decides to use that time to try to get Bernie to trash Gavin Newsom. It gets awkward with Bernie's credit. He kept it civil. I hope Hasan learned a lesson here. This guy fucking hates Bernie Sanders, by the way. These guys literally hate Bernie Sanders. So they are now defending Bernie Sanders because they hate me more. Like, for them, it's all drama. It has nothing to do with, like, what Bernie is doing there at all, okay? Which is so fucking nutty. This clip really exposed what libs on Twitter have been complaining about. Bernie clocked that Hasan was trying to bait a clip off him bashing Newsom to support his recent crash out this past week. Yeah, my recent crash out this past week is what I was trying to fucking bait a clip off. Bernie clocked that Hasan was trying to bait a clip. Fortunately, Bernie's equipped and shot down this childish attempt. El Hasan, W. Bernie. So what's crazy about this is like, what's crazy about this take in general is that, like, I'm trying to hear him say, you know, what he thinks about, like, Gavin Newsom attacking the fucking billionaire tax that he's advancing. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Of course I'm going to ask him about Gavin. Like, I'm sure CNN did the same thing as well, right? To which I replied with, he's in the state of California doing a rally to tax the billionaires. I wonder why I asked him that question about Gavin Newsom, the Democratic governor of the state, who is currently trying to strike down taxing billionaires. You people have the brain of a worm. Okay? And of course, like, the Searchlight Institute is out. The knives are out with the Searchlight Institute. Like, it's, I can't tell if it's like, I cannot figure out if these guys are doing it specifically because they see, like, the left flank as a real threat to their establishment power, or if they genuinely have deluded themselves into thinking that, like, left flank candidates in general are actually presenting a real problem in the elections and they're actually going to lose to the fucking Republicans or something. Because maybe some of them are just, like, ideologically deluded. Or if it's just, like, petty grievances in general. Because, like, this is insane. The amount of people that do this kind of shit on Twitter, it has increased in size, in frequency, in magnitude. Not going to lie, I wondered that myself because Bernie didn't mention or allude to Gavin Newsom by name or title. If you had been paying attention to the oligarchy tour stop in LA, you'd know that and would have framed the question differently. It sounded just like you wanted Bernie to join in on the petty axe grinding. Brother, I don't know if you understand something, but I was there at the fucking oligarchy tour in Los Angeles. Okay? Kamala Stan, Hillary bot, all this shit. Like, these guys, they don't understand why Democrats keep losing. And I think it's tough for me to look at what these guys are doing as anything but, like, wanting the Democrats to lose. But as long as they maintain their influence amongst the establishment Democrats. Oh yeah, I saw this one too. But anyway, as long as they maintain their grip within the party infrastructure, they're fine. They're fine with losing, it seems. Right? That's what it feels like to me. Because like, they just cannot live in a world. They cannot live in a fucking world where you know, a more left position is viable electorally. And it's ironic because that is actually what I talked to with Bernie Sanders. Like the left flank candidacies becoming more electorally viable, the script flipping on itself, right? Because one of the arguments against Bernie Sanders always has been falsely smearing him as someone who has no electoral viability. His worldview being non-viable electorally, right? And that's precisely what we talked about. That was one of the major points in the conversation that we had, which was that the electoralism argument has actually flipped on its head. If you go out in the real world, you see a lot of people from different backgrounds of like lifelong Democrats actually saying people like Bernie Sanders are the people who can defeat the Republicans, right? And Bernie agreed with that. Like the electability argument has totally flipped for regular voters, for the regular Democratic Party voters. But these guys are still running on the old methods. I don't know how you can simultaneously complain journalists don't ask hard questions and also yell at Hasan when he's a person who's just in a position to ask questions journalists won't. I think Bernie cherishes working relationships, which is also why the electability thing was bullshit and also why he answered the Gavin question that way. Yes. Trey Easton is literally being paid by billionaires to maintain the status quo, and others are just defending sex-best kick streamers. I think it's part people who literally are maintaining the bag for themselves by holding up the oligopoly from within the Democratic Party, and then part of it is people that have like a personal agenda. Looks like the chorus back, Hasan. I don't think these guys are all chorus backed. I think they're just like, I don't think these are chorus content creators. Some of them might be. But I think these guys are just like straight up delusional. Like they are ideologically invested in third way neoliberalism. It's like baked into their identity. It's like at the core of their argument. They legitimately think that like something as basic as Democrats have to run for things, they are not identifiable as a fucking party on policies, is actually a bad election mechanism, like a bad mechanism to win elections. It's fucking nuts. I think it's cult-like. I think it's parasocial. I think it's cult-like. I think a lot of what their anger and resentment towards someone like myself is actually pure projection when they say like, oh, you're just a cultist. But then they get mad when I'm not a cultist and I actually have moments of criticism for the politicians that I admire, right? When they're like, how dare you fucking criticize a politician on the left that I've criticized for years and years from the middle. It's very strange. It's a very strange way to operate. Have you encountered these people in real life? I mean, Brian Tyler Cohen I've encountered in real life. He's very cordial in the real world. And I think he's even cordial on the internet too, towards me. He's just like frustrated that I criticize Chorus a lot. But I mean, I do sometimes feel like I'm a fucking, island out here, but someone's got to press a little bit. Someone's going to have some tough conversations. Shit lips, forget the politicians are literal animals that need to be whipped to our liking. You're informing them where the people are at, that the base is not fuck with corpo and wishy-washy Dems. It's not only for a no for Bernie, but also staffers around him. You can disagree or ignore it, but that doesn't change the facts. I don't think Bernie Sanders is going to change his opinions anyway, and it doesn't really matter. I mean, he is a very powerful and very influential figure in American politics at this point. And most of the people that are in his movement that identify as like Bernie Bros or became politicians, like even Zohran Mamdani, are like outflanking him in their understanding of the world regardless. And Bernie is at least nice enough to not get in the way of that. Like he does not shy away from endorsing and working with people who are significantly further to his left on foreign policy, further to his left on like anti-Zionism, stuff like that. Like that's something that I've always appreciated about Bernie Sanders, regardless of our differences in opinion, right? Like he understands that this movement is larger than he is. And this is something that he's been committed to his whole life. And even if he has very stubborn positions that are unshakable, that he refuses to budge on, he recognizes the space that he occupies as someone who is a figurehead in this movement, and he wants to push the country further and further to the left towards a vision that we all agree on, towards a vision of a better future that we all want to achieve. You know? I hate you. Okay. Bernie's still young. He'll figure it out. I like this take. Might be, bro. It's all good, chatter. What is this? Did you see the Mehdi Hasan Zohran interview? He asked about some of the same critiques you have of Zohran. This was before. This was like fucking 4 months ago. Uh, I think Bernie major flaw like Corbyn is he's too nice for his foes, sends a mixed message. Yeah, I don't think he should be going like super hard against Gavin Newsom at all, but I think he shouldn't shy away from calling out establishment Democrats that are offering a significant setback to his agenda, to our agenda, to all of our agenda, not just me as a fucking content creator on the left. I mean, like literally the agenda of the working class. And that is a criticism that I've had for him, even during the 2016 primaries and certainly in the 2020 primaries as well. Not to say that he shouldn't fall in line and like endorse the candidate after the fact. Unless at that point you either have to shit or get off the pod. So if he's not going to do a third party move and do like a dirty break or something or a clean break at a time when it's like most opportune, then yeah, of course he's going to fucking endorse the Democratic candidate. Like that's expected. That's totally normal. If he's not going to use the momentum and the popularity he has to build a third party movement in 2016 or in 2020, then it makes sense to endorse the candidates. But I'm talking about like in the primaries, in the primary system when he was very clearly being unjustifiably attacked nonstop. There is definitely an alternative way of dealing with that. And that alternative way revolves around like sometimes, using the media's appetite for clash and drama to your advantage to get your word out. You have a worldview that's well defined. You've explored it and have a solid understanding of what you want from your politicians. Just because Bernie and AOC have a lot of overlap with your drive and desires doesn't really mean that they're a perfect fit. This is how it should be. But instead, you see a lot of liberals just tying their worldview to politicians regardless of overlap they may or may not have. Yes, because their primary focus is to ensure that Republicans don't win. And I understand that because I care about that too. Which we will be addressing and talking about with Adam Mockler. Okay? Anyway. But the interview overall is like the same old, which is part of the reason why it's not like it's for you guys. It's not like all that interesting. There's so much more room for exploration with like I want to know about Bernie's ideological journey. I want to talk to Bernie about American foreign policy, how we more effectively tie back American foreign policy to American domestic policy. I want to talk about the left flank momentum. In a much more consequential way, in a much longer, better thought out version of the conversation that we briefly had for 5 fucking minutes. So that's what I want to do, and I suspect that we've done a longer interview in the past. I want to do an even longer version of that, and I think I'd be down to just do it for my YouTube page, like a sit down, rather than do it in like a live stream format, which I think he might not be super comfortable with. If we're talking about if I am to try to figure out exactly why why we haven't done like a longer interview. You and the guy in the suit before the interview were exchanging angle maxing poses, and I can't believe you came out on top by frame, mogging him despite his height mog. Thank you. You mean Alex? The Dems have one main goal, which is to suppress the left. I don't think they have one main goal. Not all Democrats operate in the same way. Sounds like you want a strategy and tactics interview and want to build the relationship and trust further, which makes a ton of sense. Yes, that is like a big part of what I want to do. Anyway, where was I? I don't like the lack of soundboard going on. Yeah, he just cares about unity and treats us like the edgy bread. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. I'm getting it a little late. Have you talked about the fit yet? No, I have not. But where was I? What was I going to talk about? Yeah, so like so there was no real opportunity to have like a longer conversation. Gavin Newsom won't be a problem in the next few months. Selling tax for the wealthy will be. He'll ask you to lock in for that interview. Yeah, I think that a lot of these guys are just like not really invested in anything but drama on the internet, and it's not. I mean, it's fine. It's good. It's good that they're just invested in like petty drama on the internet. That they think like everything that I'm doing is specifically to advance like some sort of like own on fucking Jose can't tweet or whatever, as though that is like even remotely consequential or even remotely a part of my calculation. It's not a part of my calculation, just as like Squirrel's assessment is not a part of my calculation. Like I have a goal here. I want to accomplish something, and in an effort to get there, I have to do what I have to do. So I think people are going to chirp. There's not really much you can do about it. Sometimes the chirping can be constructive criticism. Sometimes it could be like hysterics, right? Sometimes it could be petty drama and unproductive. And other times it could be like hysterical approaches to a long, well thought out conversation in the future. In any case, yeah, centrists are mad you even asked about Newsom. Leftists are mad you didn't physically assault Bernie for his stance on Israel. Exactly. But it's the position that I am comfortable being in. If you are to my left, or if you're ultra or anything like that, and you're yelling at me, it is what it is. More power to you. I think you're going to accomplish your goals. If you are a centrist who's yelling at me because I even brought up any sort of friction within the establishment in the left flank of the party, then, sucks to suck for you guys, I think. Another month goes by. What is this? You have no fuck you, libtard, imperialism, apologist, Democrat, ass-licking grifter, says Kira. You have no principles and you are insecure and want to be white and ashamed of your Turkish background, which explains your imperialist apologism and ass-licking. This is true. I'm ashamed of being Turkish. That's why I am an imperialist. What do you mean? Turkey is the second largest standing military in NATO. So I wouldn't be ashamed of that. I'd be riding for it, don't you think? Anyway, do you have a heat lamp on Kaya? Yeah, like a rotisserie chicken. This chat is a bottomless pit of dumb fucks? I don't think so. I think a lot of people are just memeing. Anyway, so that's like the Bernie side of the conversation, and what the brain rotted fucking internet, the brain rotted internet memesters and centrist Democrats are like hyper focusing on. I'm one of the organizers of the billionaire tax and saw you for a quick sec, but was too shy to say hi. Oh, you should have said it. Hey, just a heads up, something's in the water and chat is being uniquely chat today. Okay, good to know. I mean, I kind of sense it, but it's all good. What else was I gonna say? What else? Oh, yeah, and then there was also the chorus side of the equation. That was before the Bernie interview, but apparently I've pissed off Brian Tyler Cohen a little bit. And it all started when this one chorus content creator was saying some ridiculous shit on the timeline. For those of you who don't know, Chorus is a dark money funded, DNC adjacent operation. There are leftists. There are people who are progressive. There are people who are to the left of the centrist liberals that are a part of this like organization that offers financial support, but they are funded. They are funded by some big donors, right? Do with that information what you will, but basically the conversation started when I responded to Zachary Kirk, who I didn't know who he was, and he was like talking about how like the far left used to love Jasmine Crockett, now they hate her because they're racist, all this stuff, which I wholeheartedly think is like unproductive infighting, right? I think it's an ineffective way to campaign in general. It's what has led to the Bernie flank constantly being undermined. The Bernie flank constantly being undermined with like cynical deployment of identity politics, even if like Bernie Sanders' message was supposed to be a uniting one, rainbow coalition style, as he also talked about as well. Shouts out to Jesse Jackson. And then I found out that he actually someone called him out. Someone said, I'll bet this is about ideology. Asking if Zachary Kirk had ever talked about Ilhan Omar or ever talked about Cori Bush. And he replied to that with, I didn't support either one. And for the record, I strongly support Wesley Bell. Now, Wesley Bell is notoriously one of the worst Democrats and is directly an Israeli operation, right? This is, if we're analyzing this as like someone who wants what's best for the Democratic Party, supporting Wesley Bell is completely unacceptable, right? If we're looking at this as class war, this person is an antagonist. This person is truly, truly not invested in the interests of the working class at all. But that much is obviously, that is obvious, right? If we're thinking about this from the perspective of defeating Republicans, it's a poisonous, toxic, cancerous thing to be in support of. Because Wesley Bell, for those who don't know, because of AIPAC's $20 million funding in the primary campaign against Cori Bush, AIPAC punished Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush for being pro-Palestine and being anti-genocide early on, a position that now the majority of the party, 80% of the Democratic Party now agrees with the principles that Cori Bush was defending at a time when it was inopportune for her to do so. AIPAC punished Cori Bush for being right too early. AIPAC punished Jamal Bowman for being right too early, right? And AIPAC punished Cori Bush specifically by spending $20 million in that primary race against Cori Bush by putting up Wesley Bell. Wesley Bell is one of the worst, if not the worst, Democrat in office right now. Okay? Truly, truly poisonous. And AIPAC's influence is obviously still very important to address and discuss. For those of you who don't know, AIPAC is obviously the major lobby for Israel. And basically, yeah, he got $8.5 million from Israel. Fuck this dude. Zachary Kirk's sack of shit. So was Wesley Bell. I hate living in Missouri because of them. Wesley Bell, for those of you who don't know, actually he's been very, very unpopular. And he literally had his last town hall like a year ago at this point. And he stopped doing town halls because at his town halls, people would be like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you so pro-Israel? What the fuck's wrong with you? And he basically brutalized his constituents at his last ever town hall. And he hasn't done town hall since then, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and Wesley Bell's going to be out this year regardless, but it's crazy to me that this guy is like openly saying like, I am associated. I have no issue associating myself at a time when like the anti-Israel position is unfathomably popular, especially in the Democratic Party's base. This guy is openly saying like, I am in favor of corporate-backed, Israel-backed, purely propped up by Israel candidates like Wesley Bell. To which I responded with, chorus-funded creators needs to stop doing shit like this, straight-up Israeli asset. And this doesn't mean like every chorus-funded creator is an Israeli asset, but this guy certainly is presenting himself as that. That was my argument here, okay? And this, of course, frustrated Brian Tyler Cohen, who runs Chorus. I think I'm going to have a longer conversation with him at some point. Like I want to have a conversation with him about like Chorus in general, like what Chorus is seeking to do, what Chorus is trying to do in general. But like any association with AIPAC is like electoral poison, even by centrist liberals. So I think like this is not even a question, right? So he said, the funny part is that there are tons of Chorus creators who like, retweet, follow, support Hasan and his preferred candidates, but he would rather shit on the program because it's convenient to have a boogeyman and feel like a victim. I don't feel like a victim at all. I don't feel like a victim at all. But I even understand the necessity for a media infrastructure to develop in the independent media side of things. I wish the funding structure wasn't so opaque by design. I don't like paying people for their opinions in general. By principle, I think like commentary, especially on the independent side of media, should remain independent, right? And so even if I don't agree with this on some of the aspects of Chorus, I understand why there is at least someone out there trying to. Hasan loves lying about Chorus. What? Yeah, I don't love lying about Chorus, but my point is, I understand why there is a media coalition out there that's trying to get funds to match up with like the fucking the Daily Wire, right? Because the reality of the matter is that's what Chorus is supposed to fight back against. Chorus is supposed to be like a somewhat decentralized version of like what the Daily Wire is, right? Because the Daily Wire is like an institution, an instrument of the party, an instrument of the Republican Party. Chorus is supposed to operate as an instrument of the Democratic Party, okay? So I see utility in that in general, especially in this current media landscape, because someone's got to fucking combat the Republicans. But the difference here is that some of the fucking Chorus content creators are less invested in combating the Republicans and more invested in pushing out the left flank. And unfortunately, the Democratic Party's consultant class also has this same exact interest. So if the people that are giving the notes to some of the Chorus content creators have this ideological commitment to pushing out the left flank, not only like the left flank candidates, which Brian Tyler Cohen doesn't have this ideological predisposition. He interviews left flank candidates all the fucking time. And there are plenty of Chorus adjacent and Chorus funded creators who also like, for example, James Tallarico and prefer James Tallarico over Jasmine Crockett. So I don't necessarily disagree when he says that there is like ideological division amongst Chorus content creators, but I'm saying as an institution, as an institution, or as an instrument of the party, if it's so predisposed with the goals of the establishment wing of the party, okay, if it's so predisposed with like dishing out or fighting the battles of the establishment consultants of the party, the establishment wing of the party, then it's going to be unproductive. And this is one of those moments. Like Wesley Bell is a grifter. Wesley Bell is AIPAC backed. You don't want that stink associated with the rest of the Democratic Party, especially at a time when AIPAC is almost as unpopular as crypto is, right? Like, two things you should be staying away from if you're a fucking Democrat who wants to defeat Republicans is, I don't fuck with crypto, I don't fuck with Israel, right? So when you have chorus creators that are reflecting these values, it basically plays this role of making the entire institution look like that's what they're doing. Okay? Felix responded to Zachary Kirk. I didn't agree with you when you were alive, but it's disgusting that your widow and quote unquote friends are making AI videos of you pretending you would have supported Jasmine Crockett months after your tragic death in front of millions. That's funny. So I hope that makes this clear, right? I hope this helps people understand. Like, I have a much more reasonable position than people understand. And as a matter of fact, because I have a much more reasonable position than people understand, a lot of people on my side, on my left flank, will consistently yell at me, and they'll say, you're too naive, you're too stupid, you don't treat people that are working with the establishment wing of the party as like enemies. Okay, I'm somewhere in between. I'm not anywhere near as conciliatory to the establishment Democrats as Bernie Sanders is, because I still understand that, but I still understand that you have to work with Democrats as a whole and caucus with the entire party to get some sort of comprehensive agenda across. Okay? Brian Tyler Cohen says, what's to stop you from building a program that supports creators in the ecosystem? You love about Chorus, which includes leftists, liberals, and apolitical creators. No time to be a part of the solution, just want to endlessly complain. To which, I mean, that was the part that I think was like the most ridiculous, so I did respond to that. I said, I work with a program. As a matter of fact, I work with multiple programs. I work with the DSA, PSL, labor unions, and anyone that will advance the interests of the working class. Whether it be community organizing, mutual aid, even electing representatives that advance the agenda. And that's because, like, for me, it's not about like the push is not on the content side. The push is on the organizing side, right? I understand everybody plays a different role, right? But the role I like to play, or the role I try to play is to foment an interest in organizing in general, create not groups within the Democratic Party, but create groups outside of the Democratic Party to push the Democratic Party in the appropriate direction that addresses the needs of the working class. Okay? That's my goal. And I'm pretty open about that as well. But it's really interesting that like my haters will still go, odd that you never mentioned these programs on your streams. It's like there's no better indication that this person has not watched a single fucking second of my live streams. Like, this guy said, I don't talk about these programs. Your streams are about 30% grievance against perceived enemies and about 70% anti-USA, anti-Democrat, anti-Israel. That last one is understandable. I said, I just interviewed Bernie Sanders like 30 minutes ago. Congrats. I consider this an improvement over your telling trans people that Democrats plan to shoot them in the head. Like, it's fucking insane. Like, what the fuck? The difference is that most leftist content creators aren't really motivated by bags of money, so our principles wouldn't be thrown away with a paycheck. I mean, I understand that there is a major structural hurdle. There is a major structural hurdle to launching any sort of media operation that people on the left cannot overcome. It's very difficult to like keep pushing through. It's very difficult to like keep pushing through and creating an infrastructure for yourself that is self-funded, that is fan-funded. Okay? That is the reality. And it's virtually impossible to combat the faucet of misinformation coming from the right. but think I don't think that the most effective way that people advance their political goals, political agenda is by going to big donors in the Democratic Party and trying to recreate Turning Point USA, but Democratic Party style. I know it's effing. It's raining in LA. It's effing. It's raining in LA. It is what it is. But on that note, so why make an org to do this? Seems like grassroots is the only real option. Fight the right by not fighting the left. Yeah. Like, by the way, that account is obsessed with you. Every post is directed in your worldview. I know. There's a lot of people. There are unfortunately far too many people that just like spend every waking moment dishing out their political opinions as an expression of like combating against me. Like these guys, like this Hillary Clinton, like they're doing the bro tip shit now. You know what I mean? They're like, they're out here like doing the exact same lines of attack that the right have tried for years and years to use against me. Things that I've addressed a million times over. It's totally parasitic. It's totally unproductive. It's not something that I have hidden at all. So I don't really know why like this is the only this is the only thing that they know, which is, I mean, look at this guy. This guy is just like consistently fucking talking about only a sociopath will apply aversive painful shock to his sweet dog during a live stream and then make a joke of it after viewers were rightfully alarmed. Like this guy's only understanding of politics is just like fucking being like, I hate Hasan. This exact same cycle happens every single year, lol. It's what triggered it to me, what I find to be interesting, what triggered it is like going after Gavin Newsom. They either want bros or not in the Democratic Party. These motherfuckers wonder why they lose. I know. Like, it's very strange. Like, holy crap. What is this even? Hasan Piker trying to do alpha male content? Yeah, dude, this was yesterday. I'm still doing it, actually. Old news, my man. How do y'all not see he's a grifter? Oh, I know he is, but I didn't know he tried this particular grift before. BTC is literally hiding behind some course. People like use a shield to stop you from accurately calling out what they're doing. Civil doesn't equal good faith from shit libs. I don't know. I mean, I haven't made like a full blown assessment, but once again, from where I'm standing, it's like I understand. Oh shit. That was a full F. That was a big one. Gain some more weight like that again? It's tough. Is it totally cooked? Can you guys see me? Are we back? I think we're back, right? It was just stutters. They're all trying to take you down. I don't trust any of them. I mean, I'll fight back. I'll fight back to the best of my ability, you know, but once again, I try to make it as productive, like this pushback to be as productive as possible. And I think part of making it productive is by having a bigger conversation. Internet RA mode on. Okay, it's real. It's like not even loading my. I can't even load fucking YouTube right now. I'm totally cooked. Oh wait, it worked. They're intercepting you, Azan. No more sound bites. No, guys. Hold on. Just wait. The more they trash you, the more it indicates the left's motion. You're just a stand-in for leftists. Yeah, I do think about it like that for the most part. I think about it as like people feeling threatened overall about like what this community represents within the party. And I think some people consider that to be dangerous because they think they've deluded themselves into thinking that like a Bernie Sanders style campaign will actually yield a horrific defeat in the eyes of a reactionary base by Americans. And I think some people think that no, it actually won't be a problem, but it will actually take their power away, their influence away within the ranks of the Democratic Party. And they're first and foremost fearful of losing their position of power. And there are definitely those who just are advancing God damn the fucking internet, man. Yeah, there are definitely those who are also advancing a personal grievance agenda. Like there are definitely those who are just like so invested in drama, so invested in what their like favorite content creator tells them about like how to do politics, and how to do politics is always advancing drama, being smear merchants, outrage merchants, manufacturing outrage in general, and diluting the conversation, trying to move the conversation away from like productive ideological differences and what the best path forward is to you did this, you did that. I have imagined that you are a bad person, and now I'm going to do everything in my power to like I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that like everybody else also thinks you're a bad person. It's very stupid. It's very, very stupid. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to some productive things that have taken place. Former Prince Andrew was arrested over suspected misconduct in public office.
News from England, you've heard about it by now, where the king's brother Andrew once...
This might come as a surprise to you, but in other countries, even if you're a part of the fucking monarchy, you can actually receive some legal scrutiny, it seems, when you are a part of an international sex trafficking conspiracy.
Second in line to
we don't know about that in America, of course.
Was arrested by police at his home this morning. Andrew has been detained on suspicion of misconduct amid the growing uproar following the release of those Jeffrey Epstein files. Ramy Inocencio is outside Buckingham Palace with the latest. Ramy, good morning. This is a stunning turn of events. What can you tell us?
Gail, yes, absolutely stunning. Massive news here. The arrest of a British royal at about 8 a.m. this morning. British police arrived at the home of Andrew. We understand that that involved 6 unmarked cars and 8 plainclothes officers. And this is linked to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Not for that, but on suspicion of misconduct while in public office, and that carries a maximum penalty of life in prison.
Photographed on all fours over a female in the Justice Department's most recent release of Jeffrey Epstein's emails,
Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was arrested at Sandringham, the private estate of his brother King Charles, about 3 hours north of London. On suspicion, Andrew, as trade envoy in the 2000s, shared confidential information with Jeffrey Epstein about investment opportunities around the world, including Afghanistan and Hong Kong. In a statement, police confirmed, "We have today arrested a man in his 60s from Norfolk and carrying out searches at 2 addresses. He remains in police custody and will not be named." Andrew has vehemently denied any wrongdoing whatsoever since he befriended Epstein in 1999.
I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady.
Including knowing Virginia Giuffre, who accused Epstein of sex trafficking her as a teenager. She took her life last year.
Today, her family released a statement saying that Mountbatten Windsor was never a prince.
What? Is that how that works? Like when they take away your prince status, you're just never considered a prince at all? He was simply known as a prince, but he was not a real prince. I'm sorry, but you cannot tell me that capitalism does not create an identical power structure to monarchies when symbolic monarchies have more pressure on monarchs than American capitalism does on its ruling class. What are we doing? America is literally a fucking monarchy, a theocratic monarchy, but the religion is capitalism. the false notion that undergirds the system that directly creates a structure of power for those in positions of power is meritocracy, the myth of meritocracy. Instead of saying God has ordained you to be the king, to rule over this land, we say meritocracy is real, and this person worked hard and worked smart, and that's why he must rule over me. The lie that it tells people, the lie that it tells the average commoner is that one day you too can be a king. Now, monarchs didn't do that. But that lie, I think, has given capitalism its staying power. But how can you look at the system and think it's anything different than fucking feudalism when American oligarchs are not being punished, but monarchs are? I mean, that's a whole ass prince. Now, I don't know how hard they'll get punished, but this is more scrutiny for a whole ass prince than this is scrutiny for a whole ass prince. Then we have offered our princes, our lordship, our elites.
He was stripped of all royal titles last year and has been under mounting pressure to testify in front of the U.S. Congress.
How long have you known about Andrew and Epstein?
King Charles and Queen Camilla earlier this month said they stand ready to support the police in their investigation. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer applied political pressure.
Everybody is equal under the law, and nobody is above the law, and it applies, and it has to apply in this case in the same way as it.
Yeah, not to your buddies though. I mean, your buddies were heavily involved too. Your besties, right?
In any other case.
So much pressure now building on Andrew, the former prince. Also of note, it's his 66th birthday. Gail.
Thank you very much, Remy and Ocincio, reporting from London. We want to read now the entire statement from Virginia Giuffre's family. It reads this: "At last today, our broken hearts have been lifted at the news that no one is above the law, not even royalty. On behalf of our sister, Virginia Roberts Giuffre, we extend our gratitude to the UK Thames Valley Police for their investigation and the arrest of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He was never a prince for survivors everywhere. Virginia did this for you." Let's bring in our CBS News royal contributor. That's Roya Nika. She is a royal editor for Britain's Sunday Times.
It is kind of funny to me, though, that it's like we got, dude, we got fucking, we have CBS News as royal contributors. Like, we got CBS News on the royalty beat. That blows my mind, okay? That blows my mind. What are we doing? I guess it's good. I don't know, but like, I feel like more focus should be on potentially having a beat on labor. Maybe, I don't know. Literally, we all have royal correspondents on all the networks. Yeah, it's crazy to me. Maybe I'm too woke for this. I don't know. Maybe I'm not cut out for this, but I think like the royalty beat is crazy, especially in America.
And I know that she's getting in position even as we speak. But Roya, we're very excited to have you this morning because we all woke up to this news, and I have to say, we're all still processing it here in the States. I can't imagine what's happening in the UK. Do you know yet if the king is going to respond directly to the arrest of his brother?
Well, good morning, Gail. This is all happening very fast, but we have just literally this minute had a statement from the King about the arrest of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, and I can read that statement to you now. He says, "I've learned with the deepest concern the news about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and the suspicion of misconduct in public office. What now follows is the full, fair and proper process by which this issue is investigated in the appropriate manner and by the appropriate authorities. In this, as I've said before, they have our full, wholehearted support and cooperation. Let me state clearly, the law must take its course. As this process continues, it would not be right for me to comment further on this matter. Meanwhile, my family and I will continue in our duty and service to you all. And that statement for the King is signed Charles R. So that is the response. Extraordinarily, we are due to see the King open London Fashion Week imminently, as his brother has been arrested this morning. So that's just in, Gail.
Yeah, I'm wondering, it was stunning. For us here in the United States, did you all have any heads up? Was there any talk that this was possibly in the works? Were you all as surprised as we were here in the U.S.?
There has been momentum building over the last few days, Gail. We saw yesterday, I think, an accumulation of around 7 or 8 police forces getting involved. We also had the involvement announced yesterday of the NCA, which is our national crime agency, sometimes described as the British FBI. So there has been a feeling that police forces could no longer not look at this very seriously, and I think it has been moving in one direction. That said, to see those police cars arriving, about 8 of them this morning, at the Sandringham estate, at Wood Farm, where Andrew is temporarily staying, is quite a moment. This is the King's brother who has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in a public office, the first senior royal to ever be arrested.
Roya, it's Vlad. How do we...
It's crazy. It is all... Okay. One immediate comparison here, obviously, is like how unimaginably powerful our, liberal capitalist system has created, beacons of power that are equivalent to the lords of the past, right? Under, feudalism. 100%. Like Elon Musk is literally a god king, right? And what's interesting to me is that liberal capitalism is so successful at creating a process that shifts people's attention away from that indecent consolidation of power that is unchecked, that we will offer kings and princes as the sacrificial lamb before we fucking approach a banker. Okay? Think about that. This motherfucker was a prince. Liberal capitalism is so domineering a force that a monarch who is second in line to the throne will get thrown to slaughter before we touch a banker that has done the same shit that Prince Andrew has done. It's not even a question. Even people who work at the behest of those bankers, at the behest of that international pedophilic cabal, people like Mendelssohn, who were directly aligned with Jeffrey Epstein, who were working at the interest of American capital and international capital, those guys don't receive this level of scrutiny. It is crazy. Think about that. We all understand in our hearts as children that have been born into an environment where liberalism is the monoculture, is the hegemonic, domineering superstructure. We know liberalism. We've learned about liberalism. We know that it's an evolution away from monarchies. We know monarchies are bad. They're undemocratic. We believe in the democratic process. But how is this Epstein shit not causing you to realize that consolidation of power that existed in monarchies is still very much intact right now? It's crazy. We're all a bunch of fucking serfs, man. We're serfs with iPhones, basically. We're serfs that eat hot Cheetos. And we delude ourselves into thinking that we've achieved freedom. We have not. We've deluded ourselves into thinking that we live in a just process where justice will be served. And sure, maybe we have more freedoms in some ways. There's a court system that's supposed to be intact. There's a court system that's supposed to adjudicate evenly. But when push comes to shove and the very wealthy, very powerful get caught with their pants down, sometimes literally, sometimes figuratively, no punishments come for them. If you are a regular working class individual and you get caught with a baggie of cocaine, you're receiving a heavy penalty. If you're black and you get caught with a bag of crack, you receive an even larger penalty. If you're RFK Jr., a member of the American royalty, you can talk about how you did cocaine off of toilet seats and you're fine. You're the head of the HHS. If you are Leon Black and you've been for years under legal scrutiny in and out of court cases for all of the victims that you participated in this international sex trafficking conspiracy with as a co-conspirator, you can still maintain your billions of dollars. Nothing happens. I mean, that's not a real just process at all. That's not a real system of justice. That's not abiding by the principles of the rule of law that is evenly applied to every single person, that no man is above the law. It's bullshit. These guys are still very much gods. They're very much kings that live amongst us. And we think, or rather, we delude ourselves into thinking that we can be like them one day. And that's why the system is actually much better. It's far superior. But if you pulled yourself out and approached the issue holistically, you would realize that there's fundamentally no difference between the feudal structure that we used to exist under versus what we have now under liberal capitalism. The only thing is the system defends itself a lot better. That's it.
Have we heard anything at all from the prince's former wife, Sarah Ferguson, and his daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, and how they are perhaps reacting to this news?
At the moment, this is all very new. We have not yet heard from the former Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson, or from Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie. It has been quite interesting in the last few weeks. Sarah Ferguson, we know, has been abroad a little bit. She has kept a very low profile, as have the princesses. Obviously, very difficult time for them. It's been made very clear from the palace and from the king that regardless of what Andrew Mountbatten Windsor may or may not have done, and we must stress he has always denied any wrongdoing in this issue, that the king has always been very clear to keep the girls close, but this is going to be a very difficult time for them. Things have seriously escalated now.
Roya, the phrase misconduct in office, what exactly does that mean? I'm not familiar with that. And what happens now?
Well, misconduct in a public office.
What is it, like a guy next to her just like picking up gravel with a shovel? What's happening?
There's various forms of it. What the police are looking at specifically here is the emergence of what the emails in the Epstein files appear to show, which is that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, during his decade as the UK's trade envoy from 2001 to 2011, appeared to send sensitive, highly classified documents and information, government information, briefing information on things like reconstruction in Afghanistan, on things like investment opportunities in around the world, from his trips around the world, from China contacts, to Jeffrey Epstein, and there is a suggestion, not proven, there's a possibility that Jeffrey Epstein may have used some of that information to his financial advantage. We must stress again that Andrew has not been charged. He has merely been arrested on suspicion of this and denies any wrongdoing. But if someone is charged and if they are found guilty of that offence, it does carry a maximum life sentence.
Wow. All right. Roy and Nika, we appreciate you getting on the air for us this morning with the breaking news. Thank you very much.
Thames Valley Police is able to provide an update in relation to investigation into the offence of misconduct in public office.
It's no longer Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. It's Andrew Mountbatten. No Windsor. No Prince. I see a path. I know you do too. Billionaires versus solidarity. Yes.
On Thursday,
billionaires are functionally no different than the tyrants of the old ages, tyrants, the monarchs, the fucking lords, right? The reality is they now have more power than even the symbolic monarchs do. It's clear. It's clear. Under liberal capitalism, a billionaire has more power than a fucking monarch does. Okay? A prince can receive more scrutiny from the system, albeit symbolic, albeit as a sacrificial lamb to throw some red meat in the face of the masses to make them feel like the system is still working. But